I'm Lady Charmaine, and my guest today is a profound preacher, author, and Sony Executive. God has blessed him with a unique way to ignite faith in his people, and he has now become one of Oprah's favorite people. And every time I hear him speak, I'm so inspired to do what God has called me to do. And today, you will too. Help me welcome Mr. DeVon Franklin to the show. Hey, DeVon, and welcome back to the show.
Hey, Lady Charmaine, thank you so much for having me. I am glad to be back.
I know. Now, DeVon, I know you probably know this, but for me, I do believe that God has called you into the kingdom for such a time as this. And I say that.
Amen.
And I say that because for people like me, who was in the entertainment industry and especially holding your faith strong, trying to walk with the Lord, and we know the industry that we are in, but God has given you a message for today that encourages us to keep going in the industry and to stand strong. Did you realize God was calling you to do that for people like myself?
No, I actually didn't. I did, but it is certainly a blessing of the call, you know.
Now, okay, we know that you're a Sony executive, but before you got there, we know that you have a wonderful story. You started off with Will Smith, and then God moved you to where you are. But right now, you have a book that's out that's transforming people's faith all over the country because God has taken the position He's called you to in the industry, the life lessons, turned it into a book and a message that's inspiring people. Tell us about the message that God has given you to inspire His people through your book.
Yes, I mean, you know, the message that God has given me, you know, is this message of produced by faith. You know, that your life ultimately, the way for success is to let your life be produced by faith. You know, I was passionate about this idea that people struggle. You know, and I see people going to the office, going to their daily lives, literally with no purpose, no enthusiasm, little to no faith, not understanding where God is in their life. And so I counsel people all the time, you know, about how to kind of turn their life on, essentially, because I just get tired of people living beneath their potential and living beneath their means, you know, means spiritually and means in terms of what God has given them. And so I was passionate about, okay, how can I help people on a larger scale understand the potential that they have, who they were created to be, and what they were created to do. And so God dropped in my spirit this concept of produced by faith and looking at your life as a movie and your life having 3 acts and your life being a sequences of scenes like any great movie and God being your director and you writing your own script with God and that there are characters that populate your script and that the success of your script will be dependent on who you allow to populate your script, you know, which characters you allow to occupy the roles, you know. And so this whole concept of movie making, which is what I do professionally, lent itself as a phenomenal spiritual analogy to help people understand, okay, wait, I'm just in a scene of my movie. Oh, okay, cool. All right, so I'm not going to trip in this scene, right? I was losing faith. I was losing hope. But, okay, God still is in the director's chair. He still knows what's going on. A lot of the movies that I work on, the director can see the movie from beginning to end in their head. So when they're on set, they may tell an actor to do something in the moment that doesn't make any sense. But it makes sense because they already know the movie from beginning to end. So a lot of times we may not see God in our scene, but He's right there. And so I wanted to write a book and a message for this generation to empower them to pick back up their faith, to go and become and do all that God has called you to do, and fundamentally embrace who He has made you to be, because that ultimately will be the key to life's greatest success, which is peace in knowing that He is in control and that you are exactly where you need to be.
What is the impact that you see this book having on people right now? I know you probably hear the stories. I know you probably get the emails. Tell us, what have you experienced regarding this book and the impact on people?
Oh, I mean, the impact has been amazing. I mean, it's been amazing. I mean, from people who were compromising on their job and they said, you know what, I'm no longer going to do that, and going in and kind of standing up for themselves and saying that things have worked out. People who have said they were in a dead-end job and they've quit their job and they're so thankful and now they're happy and they're in a new situation that they never would have gotten into if they had not taken that step of faith. From people saying, wow, you know, I was giving up on my dreams. I was giving up on what I was called to do because I didn't see God working in it. And by reading your book, now I've picked back up my life's passion, and I'm working in the field that I've always wanted to work in. There was a guy who came up to me in tears at this service that I preached a few weeks ago here in L.A., saying he read my book, it changed his life. He started his own business. He's never been happier. He's never had a closer relationship with God. It's from across the board, celebrities who have read the book and said, wow, I was losing faith in this industry, and thank you for helping me get this perspective. And again, I don't take the credit. It's God. God gave me the message. I'm just using it. I'm a vehicle and a vessel for Him. But this is kind of an idea of some of the responses I've been getting to how Produced by Faith is changing people's lives.
Now, it's funny because your messages, you don't even know. I wish I could write you, send you an email or something just to tell you. I was sitting in my studio one day and somebody had posted on Facebook. They were saying this message really inspired them, and they posted on Facebook and they said, enjoy. So I didn't know who it was. I was like, oh, they were inspired. Let me just take a look. And so you were at Pastor Torre's church. And then later on, he announced you were coming up. You spoke. That message was exactly where I was and what I needed to hear. It was a conversation I just had with the Lord. And it was amazing how the Lord answered it through you. When you came here to Sacramento, I was sharing with the young lady sitting at my table some stuff. You came up. She kept hitting me on the leg because she was saying, you just said that, because I was inspiring her. And then here you come out of the mouths of 2 or 3 witnesses. The message was so powerful. And I heard another message of yours on YouTube. I just clicked. I was finding some other stuff. And then you came up and I was like, oh, well, let me just click there. It's been 3 separate times that God has blessed me through your messages for me to keep on going where I'm going in this industry. And that's why I love how you minister, because you don't hold back because of the industry that you're in, and you allow God to use you, and I get fed every time. Now,
Amen.
With that being said, you became one of Oprah's favorite people. You had an encore yesterday. They love you so much there on OWN.
I love my own family.
On Sunday. How did you meet Oprah? How did that relationship start for her to love you so much like we all do now?
But here's the thing. This is what and I'll tell you exactly how. And how I met her is a demonstration of Produced by Faith, right? Which is, sometimes we misjudge what's happening in a moment, right? Mm-hmm. Understanding that God is director. God has everything perfectly timed, perfectly set up. So here's what happened. I met her through a mistake. I made a mistake. There was a very influential agent who works at the agency that represents Oprah or Miss Winfrey. And I didn't return that agent's phone call. They called me. I didn't call them right back. And when I finally got around to calling them back, they basically told me that I couldn't afford to do that, because, of who they were in the industry and who I was. And they were telling the truth. They were right. It's like, when you're coming up in an industry, you have to respect those that have gone before you. And part of a sign of respect is a return phone call, quickly, expeditiously, and I didn't do that. I made a mistake. And so I was so upset because I was like, man, I shouldn't have dropped the ball. So I felt really bad. So I sent her an apology gift. And in that gift, I included a copy of my book. She read the book. She said, I really like this. She said, I think you'd be a perfect fit for Oprah and her network. In this message. I said, okay. And so she sent it to one of Oprah's television agents. And he got it to the president of her network, Sherry Salata. Sherry read it. Her and I met, had a great meeting, and she said, I'm going to give this book to Oprah. And I said, okay. And, a couple months passed, and then one morning I'm waking up, and I literally was praying. I said, okay, God, what do you want to do with this message, and where do you want me to go? And I looked at my email, and they said, can you come meet with OW tomorrow? And OW is the initials for Oprah Winfrey. I went in, met with her and Sherry, and within 20 minutes she said, I want you to come do Super Soul Sunday. And I said, okay, let's go. And then about 6 weeks later I was in Chicago with Megan, and I taped that episode, and it's been phenomenal. It's just been phenomenal. The response to it has been well beyond anything I could have hoped or planned for. But it really underscored what you had said earlier, which is people are hungry for authentic instruction in real faith. And I believe God has put me in the entertainment industry to not just make movies, but to help people from this, platform on how to do it, and how to have peace, and how to have balance, and how to keep God in your life, how to be ambitious, how to still, make things happen for the kingdom, be fulfilled, but do it with integrity. And I do believe God has allowed me to do it, and again, I'm not perfect, and I'm not here to say, hey, look at me because I'm perfect. I'm here to say there are things that I have experienced and tried in this life that I know work, and I want to help people with that. And so that Super Soul Sunday episode has just been, it's been amazing. I mean, we're still going.
And it's a blessing, too. Now, DeVon, do you ever find it difficult at times to keep your faith level up?
I don't find it difficult to keep, my faith level up per se, because I'm even at the times when I may be down, about something, I mean, I still trust in God,
Right.
I think for me, what happens, like anyone else, and this is one of the other reasons why I wrote the book is because I haven't made it, you know what I mean? Like, I'm in it just like you, and there are days where you get up and you say, oh, God, what is going on? Oh, Lord, I don't see nothing. I'm trying to make things happen. Ain't nothing happening, I feel like I'm in a dead-end situation. I don't see it. And a lot of times when we don't see it, that's when we get discouraged.
Right.
And so I have had those days. So I was saying this, yes, I have down days like everybody else. You know what I mean? And on those down days, again, it's not a matter of losing faith, but it's just a matter of being human, and sometimes getting caught up in the emotion of what's going on, and on those days, sometimes I'll pick back up the book, or I have friends around me that I can call and say, okay, all right, I know God is in the plan, just help me understand this particular situation or whatever might be getting me down at the moment. And so it's very important to have the right people around you that you can turn to when you do have moments like that, or when we go through moments when we don't quite see what God is doing, to help us make it from one scene to the next.
Now, that was a great segue, because that was my next question. Who inspires you? You inspire so many people. Who do you turn to for inspiration?
Oh, man, that's a good question. Bishop Jakes, definitely turn to him for inspiration. Definitely turn to Pastor Torrey, for inspiration. Also one of my other pastors, Pastor Michael Kelly. He's a huge, inspiration. Oprah, Jan Lubban-San, huge inspirations, in that are really good. Charles Stanley, there's some writings of his that are just absolutely phenomenal. And then I have friends, around me that I turn to for inspiration. And that's the thing I think is undervalued. All someone needs in their life is one good moment of inspiration to change everything. And so I try to keep people in my life that I can call or that I can dialogue with that can keep my spirit up. In the same way I keep theirs up, they keep mine up. Because we can just stay inspired, then we can do more. Right. And we can be more. It's those moments when we get down in the dumps and we get depressed and we just are underneath the covers, that there's work to be done and we can't do it because we don't feel good about ourselves, So I like to keep people around me, friends, that in a moment I can get that inspiration, I can keep moving.
That's good, because you really do need those type of people. Not everybody that needs to be inspired all the time, but when you go through, who inspires you? God has blessed you now at Sony of course, we know you're a Sony executive. Now you're VP to bring faith-based films to Sony. What films do you look for? Do you look at every faith-based film? What do you look for in a film to bring it to the movie theaters first?
I look for, something that, one, going back to that point of inspiration, I want movies that inspire. I want movies that when you see them, you either get something that you can apply to your own life to make your own life better, or you walk out of the movie more excited about life and ready to do something different. So fundamentally, I look at characters. Do I connect to the character? Is there a lot of conflict in the story? Because the more conflict, the better. Am I invested in this person's journey? Am I invested in the resolve of their story? And then also, is there a commercial concept that this character is operating in? These are some of the things that I look at in trying to identify if it's a story that I'm going to buy and want to make, or if it's something that I may like, but I say, oh, you know what, this is a good character, but I'm not really loving the concept, or, the concept or the character's not really there. If those things aren't there, then I'll usually pass on it.
Okay. And lastly, what projects are you working on?
Oh, man, I have a lot of things coming up. My next movie that'll go into production is this movie called Heaven is for Real. Yes. It's based on the New York Times bestseller. It sold about close to 8 million copies. and been translated into over 30 languages worldwide. So I'm really excited about that. The director of Secretariat and the writer of Braveheart, Randy Wallace, is going to direct the movie, and Bishop Jakes and Joe Roth are producing the movie. So I'm really, really excited about that. And then, working on Will's next movie, Will and Jaden's next movie, which comes out next summer, called After Earth. We just wrapped production on that. I'm working on a remake of The Last Dragon. So, yeah.
You bringing Timac back in The Last Dragon with his own
hands himself? Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to bring it back, have him do a little cameo, So really excited about that. And, there's a couple of things that are percolating that, I'll be able to talk about soon.
Awesome. Will you just continue to keep up the great work? Let God continue to use you in that industry, because people like myself really admire you for what you're doing and just holding down the word of God in this industry. And it's truly a pleasure to see. And please tell Megan I said hello, in case everybody knows.
I will.
This lovely wife.
We had such a good time listening to your interview that you did with her. So that was great. Yeah, we had dinner one night and just put it on. We played it, listened to the whole thing. It was really great. So she will be happy to hear from you.
Thank you, because she had texted me and said, I'm listening now, but I was in church and didn't get the text till late. So I was like, okay. Well, I want to thank you so much. I love the both of you. You guys are such a beautiful couple. And one thing I told Megan I'm waiting for is to see what God is going to do with the both of you in this industry as a partnership. I'm waiting on that. So I'm praying and waiting. Okay. Well, it was a pleasure having you, DeVon. I look forward again to have you back on the show to talk about Heaven is for Real.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Lady Charmaine. I appreciate it.
You are so welcome. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.
You too. God bless.